Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here, talking about the new Koa'ki Meiru support coming out in the Secret of Evolution, or the Secret of Eternity as it's known in the TCG. I find Koa'ki Meiru to be absolutely fascinating because the art type came out and Konami tried to do a bunch of new things. You know, they had kind of an art type that revolved around one spell being like, you know, Iron Core, and you could get it from the graveyard, and all the monsters had to reveal something during the end phase. They all had like built-in maintenance costs and whatnot, and they were largely unsuccessful. And then they kind of gave them new support cards, you know, like the Rock Stun ones, and they still were largely unsuccessful. And then kind of out of nowhere, they were just like, all right, we're going to give you even more support in way of Urnite and Diamond Core and whatnot. And people looked at those cards, myself included, and I was like, wow, these cards are actually really good. And I kind of thought that that was going to be it. Like, the fact that NXC, rank 4 XC is just obvious. They didn't give them that. So I kind of thought that that would be the end of the line. And then like 3-4 sets later, they're getting more support. So it's like, I'm not really sure if Konami is even sure what they're going to be really doing with Koa'ki Meiru, because it seems like NXC is the most obvious choice, but they're still giving them level 4 monsters. So I'm not really sure what to make of this, but I find it fascinating. So the monster we're talking about is Koa'ki Meiru Overdose. It's an Earth Rock level 4 monster, 1900 attack, 1200 defense. Before I really even looked at the effect, I immediately thought, okay, Rock Stun. Like, not only is Rock Stun based around a whole bunch of Koa'ki Meiru beat sticks, but this guy seems to have the makeup of those guys as well. Level 4, 1900, it's a Koa'ki Meiru, so I can reveal it for the other guys to save them so they don't blow themselves up, and it's probably going to have a 1-for-1 effect. So I was like, okay, at least this fits fairly nicely into an already established sub art type deck that was, I mean, it was competitive at its highest level. The card reads, during each of your end phases, destroy this card unless you send one Iron Core of Koa'ki Meiru from your hand to the graveyard, or reveal one rock monster in your hand. During either player's turn, when your opponent would summon a monster / monsters, you contribute this card, negate that summon, and if you do, destroy that monsters. So I look at this card and I don't think that it's that complicated. This card is good. Basically, it's Thunder King Ryo, but it's even better against summons. Some people might again remember a deck called Rock Stun that basically was comprised of a whole bunch of 1900 beaters, you know, one negated spells, one negated traps, the other negated monster effects. And the deck right now has been largely power creep because of speed. The one, like, kind of Achilles heel of the deck was you really only got one summon per turn, and if that summon, you know, fell into like a bottomless or a deep prison or something, if your opponent got rid of that monster, it would kind of take you a while to kind of catch up to the duel, especially if they just went like spam ham. All you had is 1900 beaters. The deck couldn't be that aggressive. You had to maintain control just throughout the entire game. And I think that this guy is great because not only does he handle inherent special summons, but the fact that he just takes care of basic normal summons is huge. I mean, flip summons, entire pendulum summons, we know that that's going to be relevant when new challengers comes out. So pendulum summoning is going to be a thing, and your opponent can try and pendulum summon their whole hand, and you just tribute Overdose, and you're just like, fuck you, you don't get anything out of it. I think that Rock Stun basically just got a card that is absolutely a staple at 3, because some of the other cards like Sandman, they could be somewhat situational. You know, you put them on board and yeah, they can attack and stuff, but your opponent could like play around them by not using a spell or not using a trap to get rid of them. You show me a deck that doesn't need to normal summon to beat me, I'll show you a deck that doesn't fucking exist. I mean, in this game that we play in right now, everything pretty much needs to normal summon at some point, or needs to special summon at some point. And this guy is as close to a guaranteed 1-for-1 as I can really think of in this game. And I think that it makes Block Golem even better, because if I'm playing this deck, I probably just want to, you know, use this guy as a beat stick, obvious, but I want to use his effect as quickly as possible because, you know, I want my Block Golem and my Sandman's getting me quick 1-for-1s so that I can just revive them both at the same time. And then basically, I mean, I think that people are going to struggle to deal with both of those cards at the same time. I also think that Soul Charge infinitely helps the deck because you have to remember, Block Golem is not once per turn, so you can easily revive 2 Block Golems and then activate his effect and end up getting 4 monsters out of the Block Golems. And all of the Koa'ki Meiru Rock Stun monsters, they're not once per turn either. So, I mean, basically, if you summon a whole bunch of them from Soul Charge and then you consider them all 1-for-1s, I mean, that's a grind game your opponent is going to want no part of. The only thing that this deck desperately needs right now is a Rhoda. I mean, there needs to be a way for me to just search Overdose, because this is a card that I'm going to want pretty much every game, like turn 1. I want this card on board turn 1 every game, but I don't know. I think that cards like Vanity's Emptiness being out to cover like massive special summoning just make this card even better, because if this can cover normal summons and inherent special summons, then anything else, your Shadow Fusions, your Soul Charges, your Call of the Haunts, I can just cover with Vanities. So, I mean, I don't know. I think this card definitely looks good. Hopefully they can get themselves a recruiter and become a real contender. Let me know what you guys think of this card. Thank you for watching as always.
Subscribing makes life happy.